approaching this weekend? Do you take a big squad over, and what do you want to see out of it?
I think the plan is to just take the 23 plus and the travelling emergency over. So yeah, we've got to treat it like a full dress rehearsal of what's to come in a couple of weeks' time. So we'll finalise what the squad looks like probably this afternoon, and yeah, we've got to prepare for round one as best as we can.
That 23 that you mentioned, is that starting to take shape? Did you get some clarity last week in what your best sort of side looks like right now?
Yeah, obviously we had a couple of guys missing last week after the state game, so it'd be nice to have Mitch and Zach back into the mix. But yeah, you sort of get an understanding of what the team makeup is going to look like. There's still a few things that we need to sort out probably over the next few hours after the main training session, but sort of got a reasonable understanding of how things are going to shape up.
Some of the key position area, like the ruck battle, have you learnt any more in terms of Jordan and Dante and possibly?
I think it's still very much neck and neck. Like Dante played reasonably well in the main game, I suppose, last weekend, and Sweetie sort of played pretty well against a decent and more experienced opposition in Riley O'Brien. So yeah, again, that battle's still very much up in the air at the moment. So we'll get probably a bit more clarity in a few hours' time as well.
What do you make of the new ruck rules? A bit of conjecture over after last night's game as well. Has it favoured one of your ruckmen?
I think Dante, from an athletic perspective in terms of like vertical leap, has probably got a slight advantage in that area, but Sweetie's just a big man who's more than capable of jumping himself. But yeah, obviously there's been a couple of injuries already early on in the season, so hopefully that kind of settles down a little bit. But clearly the more sort of athletic ruckmen are going to get advantaged by that rule.
Jason Horne-Francis will be playing now that he's with him?
Yeah, he obviously has got some some not issues with that foot, but clearly he's hypersensitive to what's going on around that foot area. So super cautious with him on the weekend. Scans have cleared him of any issues there. He actually trained a couple of days ago, and he'll train again this afternoon. So we expect him to be right to go for the weekend.
You sort of manage his minutes then, or just let him see how he goes?
Yeah, potentially that's an option for us. We're still trying to figure out what having that extra player, that 23rd player, is really going to look like. But there's definitely an opportunity for us to go down that path, especially given Jace has had an indifferent pre-season and sort of missed a little bit. It wouldn't be the worst thing to potentially just manage his time on ground come the weekend.
Do you expect that 23rd player touching with the ruck rules as well? It's been spoken about whether that means 2 rucks or something. Do you think you know more about how you're going to use that sort of within the first few weeks of the season as opposed to before round one?
Yeah, I think the 23rd player conversation will continue to be had over the first probably 3 or 4 weeks of the season. We'll probably get a gauge and a sense of how other teams are doing it. We've got our own plans and preparations for what that might look like for us. But I don't think anyone will get a good understanding of what that looks like until probably 5 or 6 weeks into the season.
Does it mean, whereas in the past maybe some guys wouldn't play because you don't have that extra spot, there might be more occasions this season where you've got the option to manage minutes, so you might, like guys like Jason or whoever, you can ease them into the season a bit more and they can still be involved, but maybe not play as much game.
Yeah, it might mean that guys, really important players to us, potentially coming back from injury, can we get that opportunity to give them some game time, to give them some minutes. But again, how that all looks, I think will unfold in a bit clearer of a picture over the coming weeks.
Did you have any sympathy for Harry Ram on Friday night up against an All-Australian forward in the sort of form that Riley was in? And what can you learn as a young defender from those sorts of things?
Yeah, it was interesting. We were sort of having conversations throughout the game. Luke Webster and Kari about whether we continue with that matchup for Rami, and we decided to stick with it just purely for that reason. It is a great learning for him. I'm sure those two will come face to face plenty of times in the coming years. Riley's clearly an exceptional player who's developing his game at a pretty rapid rate, and so Rami out the back end of that understands what it takes to play against an All-Australian key forward who's at the peak of his powers, and he'll be a better player because of that. So we're excited for what Rami will provide for us in the future going forward, and he's a smart kid, and I'm sure he would have learned a lot from that experience on the weekend.
Does that mean you keep exposing him to those sort of situations? How do you balance that when you've got the experience of someone like Sava or Oilers in the two?
Yeah, I guess that's the beauty of our current squad, is that we've got experienced key defenders that are different players. Sava, Aaliyah, Rami, Brandon Zerk-Thatcher and Todd Marshall obviously back there as well now. So we've got a bit of that flexibility, a bit of depth in that area, which is nice for us. Clearly we're excited by what Rami will provide for us in the future, but we know the quality that guys like Asava and Brandon Zerk-Thatcher can provide for us as well. So they'll keep learning of each other, continuing to get each other better, and we'll see where all that lands over the next week or two.
Todd just played the half, I think. Will you try and get a full game into him, or will you just let him
whether that's the SANFL or the non-selected guys will have a game against Sturt this weekend as well. So there's opportunity for us to explore some extra minutes for a variety of different players, but. Todd is another one that has had a bit of an interrupted pre-season, and so we need to be really cautious about the way we manage him in the early parts of the season. We liked what we saw from Todd, particularly with a couple of his kicks out of back 50 on the weekend, so we're pretty excited about what he can provide for us back there too.
So you think he'd probably play more for the central team?
Not necessarily sure about where he's going to play at this point in time. He's certainly on that borderline, I guess, of selection in terms of whether he plays against West Coast or Sturt. We'll wait and see over the coming hours.
You spoke the week before about sort of regaining that confidence in his body, and that before the internal interview, he was feeling a bit nervous about getting back out there. How much do you sort of take that into consideration when you're assessing his performance over the last couple of weeks? There's constant communication with Todd and the way he's feeling within himself. And all the language that's been spoken from him is that he feels 100% back to his confident best, going into contests. There's no issues with him and his, the things that have happened to him previously with his head and that sort of thing. He's very much 100% in the contest, pulling up really well from games and those incidents. So that's really exciting for him and for us that he can return back to his best footy.
With Mitch back, I guess Matt's would say one of your key forwards has to spill out. How do you see the race for that third forward spot?
Yeah, again, we've got some boys down there that provide a bit of a different dynamic for us. Jack Whitlock and Ollie Lord and Jack Lukosius were the boys that played last week, and they're all sort of different players. So we'll have a look at training again today, understand what the best mix is going to be against West Coast, and finalise those conversations this afternoon.